Hey guys, welcome to the channel and welcome back to another video. How you guys doing? Hope everyone has had a good morning and all is well. We're going to jump right into this topic we're going to be talking about today, guys, and the topic is about financial literacy. Financial literacy. And I want to talk about how I sort of kind of got tired, got fed up, and I decided to go ahead and raise my financial literacy. Now, if you can hear me, guys, let me know. Give me a thumbs up in the chat and let me know you can hear me. Sunset on the Ocean, good to have you. Grayman, good to have you as well. I appreciate you being here. Mrs. Moore, thank you so much for being here as well. Good morning to you, Jacqueline or Jacqueline. Yes, please hit the like button as you come in, guys. And listen, if you're wondering, okay, is this a video that might be helpful for someone that you know? Okay, if it's helpful for someone you know that might need some information on, maybe how to get more financial literate, just go ahead and share this video, the link to the video with them as well, if you don't mind, please. At least one person, guys, or in a Facebook group, whatever you want to share it with. But there's going to be some good information because I'm going to talk about myself and what I did, didn't do, etc., that helped me out over the years. And Pistol Pete, good to have you. Art of Wars in the house, good to have you as well. San Antonio, Texas, Kimmy Apples here. Good to have you. Namisha, good morning to you as well. John Joe, appreciate you. Pine Hill Productions, Lyle, good to have you here. Appreciate you. Mike Pearson, Ryan is here. Good to have you guys. So I'm going to talk about this conversation, and the conversation is going to be really centered on a lot of what I did, what I didn't do, what I should have did, but what I actually some of the good things I did as well. I was personally tired of being financially ignorant beyond the age of 30. Okay. So when I say beyond the age of 30, I'm talking about as far as just not having anything. So a little bit about my background. Some of you guys know because you've been rocking me with me for a while. Nigel, good to have you here. Tony in the house, Baltimore, good. Trinidad Tobago's in here too. Carson. So my story was that I was born, pretty poor, right? Didn't have a whole lot, youngest of five, but grew up in a situation where, after about age 10, my mom was single. She didn't have much of neither one of my parents got high school diploma. Neither one of my parents got a high school diploma. Now, when my mom was about 40 or so, around 40, she went back to school to get her associate's degree, her 2-year degree, and end up becoming an RN, a registered nurse. But before that, she was a LPN, licensed practical nurse, but not a RN, which pays more. And she was before that, so she worked in hospitals as a nurse for a long time. And then in her 40s is when she became an RN. And so, but again, she had to get her GED and all that stuff first. GED is the equivalent of a high school diploma here in America. If you're not in America, you don't know what that is. So we didn't have a whole lot, and I was the youngest. And so by the time I came along, she was more like a single mom. So I had to sort of, I can remember 7th grade having 3 pair of pants in 7th grade, shoes with holes in it, about 5 or 6 shirts. But I became a master at matching up them shirts, wearing them a little different, wearing them pants, but having different shirts with them all the time. Sometimes tucked in, sometimes tucked out, sometimes shirt half open, sometimes shirt buttoned all the way up, right? I became a master at being able to do all that because I just didn't have anything. And that continued, not to that level, but as I graduated high school with a 1.7 GPA, 1.8 GPA, barely graduated high school. Then I went on to college. My first full year of college, I had a 1.75 GPA, and I was on academic probation at the local community college. And then I had to say, okay, what do I want to do? Now, this is point number one. This is point number one about how I raised my financial literacy. Point number one about raising my financial literacy happened when I got focused. I learned the power of focus at about the age 19, 20. I learned the power of focus. I always knew I was smart, but I just didn't try hard in school, right? So when I decided at the age of 19 or 20, around then, when I had this 1.7, I had 24 credit hours at a college and I had a 1.75 GPA, and they put me on academic probation. I read that. I sat out a semester, went 6 hours a semester. Then I made a decision And I learned the power of making a decision and getting focused because I got super duper focused. I said, I want to be a teacher, right? My sister had become a teacher, and I said, I think I want to be a teacher. I want to be a teacher, right? So the power of focus was now, and this plays into your money, right? The power of focus was now I see that I want to be a teacher. I have a goal. I have a path, and as when I had a path, I had to stay on that path to get to my end goal, which was the 4-year degree as a school teacher. So now that I had a path, because when the first 24 credit hours I took in college, and Pine Hill Productions, Lyle, you know about this, you know about the college I was at. The first 24 credit hours, I was a business major, right? So I took, the cost accounting, accounting 1, accounting 2, and some of these things. But I really got focused when I was about 20 years old. I saw that 1.75 GPA. I said, nah, I'm better than that. So I said, okay, let's go ahead and get focused. What do I want to do? I decided to be a school teacher. When I decided to be a school teacher, everything changed because now I had focus. Now I had a goal. Now I had a specific path to go down to get there. I could either transfer to one college that and when I became a junior. But here, let me back up. So I made that change in my thought process and got focused. And now for the next 4 semesters in a row, I got like straight A's. I think I got 1 B, but straight A's in the next 2 years, 4 straight semesters in a row, because I had to raise my 1.75 up to a 2.5 or a 2.7 GPA. 2.7 GPA to get into one college and 2.5 to get into another college. So I strive for the 2.5. I got all these A's in a row, just completely turned around my academic experience because I got focused, the power of focus. And this is what I want to talk about in terms of your money. This is point number 1, the power of focus. I was tired of being financially ignorant and I got focused with my money. That was later. But right now I got focused with my education and my career. And so guess what? Went ahead and got to 2.55 GPA by the time I was 22. And then I went off to college at a 4-year school. And at the 4-year school is where I end up getting my degree, 1994, right? And at the 4-year school, my junior and senior year as a college student, had like a 3.3 or 3.4 GPA. So I completely turned around my academics in college because I became focused, laser focused on what I was trying to achieve to get to the point where I would ultimately get a college degree. So point number 1 is focus, focus, focus. For me, now, here's what happened. Let me keep going with the story. So in 1994, I became a school teacher, and I worked as a school teacher for 6 or 7 years. Now, as a school teacher for 6 or 7 years, when I was in my second year, I believe, 1995, maybe 95, I had a guy come visit me at the school. He was going around to all the teachers after school and talking about an annuity plan and talking about this life insurance product where you can buy an annuity. And he came to my room, my classroom, at the end of the day, and we sat down and had a conversation in my classroom. And he showed me for the very first time in my life, I was 24, 25 years old. He showed me for the very first time compound interest tables. And I had never heard of compound interest. I hadn't even thought about it. Remember, poor, didn't have much money, right? Ended up taking out about $25,000 of student loans to go ahead and go to that 4-year college. I didn't take anything out to go to community college. I paid that cash out of my pocket, but then I went to the 4-year school and I took out $25,000 of student loans. So anyway, this guy, he showed me compound interest tables to give me an idea how my money would grow over time and what I might have when I get to be 45 and 55 and 65 years old. And I said, wow, blew my mind. Had never heard of compound interest tables in my life. And back then they were actual tables, right? He didn't get out a computer or a cell phone or he got out actual tables, right? I think he had them laminated where he show you this one. And okay, let me put that one away down and take a look at this one, right? This is 1994, right? So I learned about that then and I signed up. He got me signed up to an annuity. I went in and checked my HR, my human resources. Hey, how much are you guys taking out of my check for my 403B here and for my retirement? I learned a lot of things, but lo and behold, I was still broke, still poor. I had no net worth at that time. Now, fast forward a few more years, about 1999, at the age of 29, I was living in an apartment after apartment after apartment. I had never owned anything at the age of 29 or 30 years old. I had never, I had at the age of 30 years old, I had a 1996 Honda Civic. I owed about $15,000 on it. I owed the $25,000 on a student loan because I had kind of deferred them and held them off. They weren't accruing interest. Sometimes they were with forbearance and so forth. So I owed $25,000 of student loan. I owed $15,000 in a on my Honda Civic, and about 10,000 more dollars on some other stuff like medical bills and stuff like that. So lo and behold, I had a negative net worth. I lived in an apartment at the age of 29, 30 years old. I had a negative net worth, had roommates from 25 or 24 to age 28 or so, 27. But around 30 years old, I had a negative net worth. Negative $30,000 was my net worth when I first figured it back in the year 2000 at the age of 30. And I was sort of pretty much just tired of being financially ignorant. You know how you go to college, you know you're pretty smart, you go to college and you do all these things, but you have this feeling that you're messing up with your money or your money is not right. You got all this knowledge about everything else, your career or whatever, wherever job you work in, you got all this knowledge, but lo and behold, you're ignorant in the area of money, of finances. And so you can't just go to the store and buy what you want. You ain't got nothing. Now, one of the real strong practices that I did early on, started this practice in the year 1994, I believe. 1994, when I first got out of college, first got my own place, I started doing a monthly budget every single month, and I would write it down. I would go buy a ledger book from Walmart or Office Depot or whatever was out there. I started buying this ledger book and I started writing down my monthly budget on a ledger book in 1994 just to kind of keep track of of what I was doing. I didn't start doing a budget at the age of 30. I started my budget at the age of 24 when I first got out on my own, and I started doing this little envelope thing. Actually, I did the envelope thing back in 1992 when I was when I had my own when I went down to my college, my 4-year college in 92. I started doing this little thing called the envelope system. I didn't really write a budget down, but I did an envelope system. 1994, I kept doing the envelope system, and now I had graduated college and I was working my first job. I started doing a budget every single month. And I've done a budget, real talk, real talk. I've done a budget every single month, written down either on paper, in a ledger book, or in a Excel spreadsheet or Google spreadsheet. I've done that every single month since 1994. Have not missed 1 month, believe it or not. Not one. Kind of weird, kind of strange, call me whatever you want to do. But this is a part of being, raising my financial literacy. Now, in 1999, 2000, I said, okay, I'm a little tired of being financially ignorant. What do I want to do? I want to go out. I want to buy a house. I was watching Carlton Sheets and these guys sitting on their boat doing the infomercial, talking about real estate, real estate, real estate. 1999, I started reading. I started going to the library, buying a few books. And lo and behold, in the year 2000, when I was 30 years old, I had this negative net worth. I bought my first piece of rental property at the age of 30. Right. And I'm talking about here, guys, if you check it in late, how I was tired of being financially ignorant. And this is how I raised my financial literacy along the way, along the years. Remember, 1992, I started doing the envelope system where you take, certain things that is coming. Like I had food. I always had food. There was a store called Dillon's around the corner from me. And by the way, 1992, when I first went out to my 4-year college, I had to go away and I had my own apartment. and right across the little highway street was called Wendy's, and I worked at Wendy's there. And then my apartments was about a mile or two from campus, so I had to ride the shuttle bus back and forth to campus every day. And then at night I'd come and I'd walk over to Wendy's and work there from 6 to 10 or 5 to 9 and close it down. And I started doing envelope system. Graduated from college in 1994, started doing a budget. I'm giving you guys these things to give you an idea of how I kind of began this thing and what really made me tired. So by the time I was 30 years old, I had a negative net worth of $30,000, had never lived in a house owned by anybody I knew because we rented houses all my life. My parents didn't have homes, right? My parents didn't have a house, right? We rented homes and rented apartments, right? And all five, six, seven of us, four of us, whatever it was at the time, we all lived in the 2 bedroom apartment, 3 bedroom apartment. I slept for years on a rollaway, a pull-out couch, right? That's where I slept for a lot of years, right? So we just didn't have money for a lot of stuff. So I'm telling you guys this background so you can understand that you don't have to start. See, it's less important where you start, and it's more important what's in your mind and where you're going, right? So this was my start, sort of my story, right? So I at the age of 30, I said I bought my first piece of rental property, right? I had an agent that I found in the phone book. I found my agent in the phone book, the yellow pages. I called a bunch of them, but I ended up calling him. He was real cool. He went ahead and owner financed me one of his properties deep in the inner city, bad neighborhood, but I went ahead and took it. He sold it to me for $10,000. $10,000 owner finance over a 10 or 15-year note or whatever it was. I was paying like $100 something a month to him. That was my first piece of rental property. That was my entryway into financial literacy from a real estate and investing standpoint. And over the next 5, 6, 7 years, I bought 6 more properties, 5 or 6 more properties, right? And I was in my early 30s. That was the beginning of my financial literacy right there. See, my financial literacy, although I did the envelope system from 1992, and then I turned around and did the budget and did a written budget from 1994. And remember, in 1995, I had the guy come to my classroom and show me compound interest and what it mean and what it could do. I didn't do a whole lot with it. I bought an annuity from him. I ultimately closed that annuity and paid, the surrender or what have you. So in the year 2000, at the age of 30, I had a negative 30,000 net worth, but then I bought my first piece of rental property. That was my introduction. And I just I was tired of being a college educated person that had no money, right? How many of you know a person like that? College educated, did all the right things as far as their career in college and, and decisions they made, but they just don't have any money. That may be you. If that's you, I'm talking to you, right? I'm talking to you. Oh, I haven't even checked the chat, guys. I get rolling and I forget about it, but please do me a favor, guys. Hit that thumbs up button as you walk in the room. And if you have a question, put a Q by it and I will get to it. I'm going to scroll back up, see what I missed. Good morning to you, Tierney, by the way. Brian, good to have you here from Phoenix. Let's see here. Good morning to you, Mommy Trader. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations to you. She says she's working on her weight loss journey. Congratulations to you. Happy for you guys. Check out her channel. If you go in the chat, you'll see her name is Mommy Trader. You might chat a few more times, Mommy Trader, so they can see your name. But she has a great YouTube channel. Check her out as well. Let's see. Lyle Pinehill said it took me a while to get focused after the military. Getting focused is the key. Absolutely. I'm going back a little bit to just see if I didn't miss anything. Question, not going to do aftermarket, but if I was so, boom, boom. Okay, so NVIDIA. Don't sell it. Keep it. Hold it. That's my suggestion. Mrs. Moore, thanks, guys. Get the thumbs up button for me. I got much more to share with you guys here. But hit that thumbs up button for me. I really would appreciate it as you come in. JT Coin Rings, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much for your support along the years. I appreciate you. Let's see here. Thanks, Hebrew. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Question. So once you write the monthly budget, do you go back and make updates? Absolutely, C-Dub. Anytime you do a monthly budget, you got to always check it. I check it at least 2 to 3 times a month because I pay my bills twice a month. I'll get into that a little bit later. But yes, I pay my bills twice a month and I check it twice a month. Yes, Pine Hill Productions. Listen, if you see Pine Hill Productions in this chat, me and him stayed in the exact same apartment complex in college. So he knows exactly what I'm talking about. The street, across the street, you had Dillon's over. It's kind of a highway type street. You had Dillon's over here. Then you had Wendy's over there. You know all about that because you've been knowing me for a while. Thanks for rocking with me, Lyle. Appreciate you. Let's see here. Just checking out the chat to make sure I didn't miss a question or something. All right, let me keep rolling. So I bought my first piece of property. Okay, I bought my first piece of property at the age of 30. Now, that was really a full-time gig, right? Well, and the whole time I worked, right? So after I stopped teaching in 2001, in 2002, I started working for the federal government. So, and I've still been working for the federal government for the last 22 years, right? And what I do for the federal government still, I have a job, guys. I'm not here trying to hide. I'm not here trying to, pull a fast one on you or here trying to act like I'm above everybody else. That's not my style. So I still work a full-time job and I do this YouTube thing on the side to help people with their personal finances, right? So I still have a job at the federal government, been there for over 20 years. So, but I still bought rental property as well. So I bought a bunch of property. I bought some of the property wrong. And I have over 100 videos on this channel talking about real estate, right? And I just don't do a lot of videos about real estate anymore, but I still own several of the properties I bought way back when. So I was introduced to financial literacy sort of along the way, right? My years from 0 to 30, I was really, really broke. Didn't have anything. Stretching, scrounging, trying to figure out this, figure out that. It wasn't, but I got a few good lessons along the way, right? Focus was what was the first lesson. I know based on what I did when I was 19, 20 years old, when I get focused, I can achieve anything. When I get focused and I have a mission and I have a path and I have a road to go down, I can achieve it. Because I know I can achieve it because I went from a 1.8 GPA in high school to a 1.7 GPA in my first full year of college as a full-time student to almost a 4.0 student the subsequent 2 years. So so I know that I can achieve whatever I want to achieve. This is huge because the first thing you got to do with your money, if you're trying to change your financial literacy and become more financial literacy, you got to first believe you can do it. Because if you don't even believe that you can do it and there's no hope for you, you won't put in the proper effort. You won't develop what you need to develop and do what you need to do if you don't think you can do it, or you think it's above you, or you think it's beyond you, or you think it's unachievable. Wrong. It's achievable. You can do it. You can do it. You just have to get focused. Listen, almost everybody listening to me has something they've had to do to achieve to get to another place in life. I don't care if it was working at the local the local Kohl's or Target, right? You had to learn that job, right? If you went to college or something, you had to learn in order to get those grades, in order to get that job. All of us have learned something. Money is no different. You can just learn it. You can just get your financial literacy by doing a few things. So don't get caught in the trap of thinking money is too hard. Money is too difficult. Money is too complicated. No, you're already doing something that other people probably see as too complicated. So if you achieve that, if you just get focused on your financial literacy, you can achieve financial literacy as well. You have to first believe that you can do it. It all starts here, right? I would have never became a school teacher if I didn't first believe I could do it. Because I didn't like standing up in front of people. I had to stand up in front of people and start giving lessons and start talking, right? That just didn't come natural for me. I'm a pretty, believe it or not, pretty introverted person. I kind of stay to myself for the most part. So I had to come to another level to say when I was like a junior, senior in college, when we started doing our practicums and stuff, I had to get to another level to actually get up in front of people, right? The first student, I was a student teacher at a high school, and it was a pretty tough high school. And so it had me questioning myself like, oh my goodness, can I do this? But listen, when you get focused, anything's possible. That's the first lesson. The second lesson was, okay, now, compound interest. What is the possibility? What is the listen, you got to have some hope, right? So when you start looking at compound interest calculators or compound interest things on the internet here, and you start plugging in numbers, that gives you some hope, right? So you believe it, but now you got to hope and see the light, and then, oh, okay, this is what can happen. Ah, okay. You got to have some type of vision. You got to figure out, okay, then you have to do a budget. You have to control and manage your money. This is the things that help me raise my financial literacy long time ago. Now, I didn't have it all together a long time ago, and I didn't have the type of net worth I have today a long time ago, but I had to sort of get it together a little bit to kind of develop some foundation, right? And the foundation was the belief, the hope, the budget, the understanding the future, the vision. All that stuff was the foundation, right? One of the things I used to I've done for another another thing I've done for a long time, guys, I want to stress upon you is I kind of manage my time. I'm really really focused on managing my time, right? So one of the things I've done that's helped me over the years in terms of financial education, or at least getting better with what I'm doing, is planning my day. So like every single evening or every single morning, usually it's at night. For some reason, I'm a really clear thinker at night, right? I'm a late night person. So when I at night, I typically write down a list of the things that I need to accomplish the next day. And it could be any and everything, right? It could be something as simple as getting the mail, right? It could be something as simple as you name it. The point is, I write down exactly what I need to accomplish because I don't just want to rely on my memory, right? So I'm big on writing things down. So I write down what I want to accomplish. If I go somewhere and I'm listening to somebody speak, I'm typically going to be taking notes because I don't want to rely on my brain to kind of remember everything I have to remember. I want to be able to go back and look at my notes. And I have notebooks all over me, right? Here's a notebook right here that I write stuff down all the time. So I'm writing things down a lot. And I write down every day, every night, what I'm going to do or what I need to accomplish the next day. And sometimes I'll write off things I want to accomplish in the week, right? That way I understand where I'm going for a week. Now, I don't do it on a computer. I don't do it I'm old school. You can tell by the telephone back here. I don't do it. I do it because I think when I get a pen and a piece of paper in my hand, it helps me remember better. It kind of gets, they've been writing for 5,000 years, 10,000 years, putting things on scrolls, right? So it's something to this writing thing that's a little bit deeper than just texting it or just dropping it on your calendar on your iPad, right? There's something a little deeper to this writing thing that we may not know. So I like to write it down sort of old school because somehow it gets stuck in my brain better when I write it down, right? Listen, if you write stuff down, you could be taking notes over somebody talking. And if you write it down, you'll remember it better than if you didn't write it down, even if you lose your notes that you wrote down. But the fact that you wrote it down helps you remember it more than just listening, right? So I'm big on that. I write these things down. This is one of the ways, and oftentimes when I'm writing down what I got to do the next day, it involves something that has to do with finances, whether it's a bank that I have to go to or look up or actually appear at it physically. If there's some type of money or something I got to do, right? So I do that on pieces of paper. Now I do my budget nowadays on a spreadsheet, right? But I set up a list of daily tasks or sometimes weekly that I need to address or I need to look at or I need to think about or I need to do, right? Now, another thing I started doing a long time ago is I started focusing. I'm giving you these things, guys, to give you an idea of how I raised my financial literacy. And these are things that you can adopt and put in your plan to raise your financial literacy. That's why I said share this information with somebody who you think can, maybe a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 30-year-old, somebody that wants to get better with their money. Could be a 50-year-old. Look, but it's got to be somebody that wants to get better. This is a few little tips to help you out. So I would oftentimes focus on terms and terminology that I did not understand. Like if I'm watching Bloomberg News, I don't really watch it much, but as an example, if I'm watching something on Bloomberg News and they say something, I say, well, I don't quite understand that. Let me go look that up. I used to do this a lot with real estate, right? If there was a term, I would always go look up the term so I could make sure I understand it, put it in the back of my mind. What is an XYZ, whatever the term may be, right? Whatever that term may be. Now, another thing I would do, and I'm just running down a list of them, is I learned some of the basic systems of accounting. Now, I was blessed. In high school, I had accounting 1 and accounting 2. In college, remember the first year I was in college, I was a business major. So I had accounting 1, accounting 2, and I had cost accounting, right? But one of the things I did was I learned the system of accounting, income statement, balance sheet, right? Profit loss, revenue, some of these really, really basic terms. One of the ways I was able to learn it was through real estate and through having a business, right? Real estate and having a business, profit margins. Listen, in 2013, I've talked about this before. In 2013, I had no money for my daughter to go to college. I went ahead and started an eBay business. Sold over $100,000 on eBay, just part-time on the side over the course of 6 years or so. Sold over $100,000, had packaged and shipped close to 3,700 different items, shipped them off, had a 100% feedback score from my customers. Killed the game in eBay. Right. But I learned a little bit about accounting and profit margins and all that stuff by actually having a business. Now I have a business I understand what, free cash flow is, or I understand what does it look like in terms of my revenue versus my debt, right? I understand those terms and concepts because I started a business, right? And the other thing I talked about that helped me raise my financial literacy was investing in real estate. I mentioned it earlier, right? That real estate experience was tremendous. I have learned so much as a landlord over the last 24 years, you would not believe it. About people, about property. Listen, I did not know anything about real estate. Remember, I lived in apartments and houses, and most of the houses I lived in when I was growing up are torn down. That's how rough they were, right? But when I was 30, I bought my first piece of real estate, and I can still remember to this day, my very first piece of real estate had plaster on the wall, had old knob and tube wiring throughout the house, had an old gravity furnace in the basement. Old gravity furnaces are not the electric stuff. If you have a good winter, your bill can be $500 with a gravity furnace, but it had an old gravity furnace at the bottom that sat right in the middle of the basement. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath in a rough neighborhood, rough part of town. And we had to redo the kitchen. After this is my first rental property. I got the squatter out after a few months. He finally left. And the first maintenance guy I came across, I brought him on board to help me with this property. And me and him went to Home Depot. This is the year 2000. Me and him went to Lowe's, or no, it wasn't Lowe's. It was Home Depot. Loaded up his van, got some stuff. 2 days later, the guy disappeared on me. Took about $400 worth of my stuff that we had purchased. Look, $400 went a long way back in the year 2000. Come to find out later, he was doing drugs, right? He ended up stealing $400 or $500 worth of stuff that I had purchased, and I ain't have no money, right? So $400 or $500 was a lot to me. So I end up that same time, roughly, there was a guy working on a house next door to the property. I went over there and had a conversation with him. And guess what? 24 years later, I still use that guy for a lot of my maintenance on my properties that I still own. 24 years later, right? We're all getting older, right? But the point is that I learned a lot about financial literacy, understanding rents, understanding purchases, understanding how to look at cash flow in terms of property and rental properties, right? Read tons of books. That's another one. Another way I raised my financial literacy was self-learning, right? Doing this thing and saying, okay, I got to learn how to do X, Y, Z, and I have to go ahead and do that. Nobody's going to teach me. I didn't take a class really on any of this stuff. I don't believe I've taken a class. I didn't go to a conference or a 2-day weekend boot camp, right? Because back in 2000, that was the big rage. It wasn't no grifters online. All the grifters were telling you to spend $1,500 or $2,500 for a weekend boot camp that they was going to explain to you that I got all my knowledge really out of books. I used to go to the library and load up on books, right? So I had a long experience in this thing, man. It's been a long run. Let me see here if we got any chats. Let's see. To-do list, make coffee. Somebody Pistol B said I'm a note guy too. Helps me a ton. I always have notes all over my desk. Absolutely. C Dub said I need a side hustle. We'll talk side hustles in just a bit here. Let's see here. Someone mentioned a book. Hey, some of the books. Look, Stock Market 101. This is one of my favorites right here. Simple Path to Wealth. Read that a while back. I'm a Bogle guy, so I like anything John Bogle, who invented. He didn't invent, but he was the first company that built the company around the idea of index funds, right? In the early 70s, Vanguard is who that's a little common sense of investing is a great book. If you read this book, you will probably definitely put some index funds in your portfolio. Your Money, Your Life is a good one as well. Another book I read, since we're on books, another book I read was The Millionaire Next Door. That was a huge book for me. I'm actually rereading right now The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, right? Written in, I think, 1949 or so. I'm rereading that right now. So I'm a big book reader. I believe in getting a lot of information out of books. Let's see here. So let me just jump before I go to any more of all of the things that help me raise my financial literacy. Let me hit C Dub's question. Do I pay my bills on the 15th? I pay my bills purposely 2 times a month, period. Doesn't matter. 2 times a month. That means I pay my bills 26 times a year. And one day here soon, I'm going to show you guys how I budget. I'm going to take you behind the scenes and show you exactly what my budget looks like. But I pay my bills twice a month. So I don't have a lot of bills that come out automatically. I have a few of them, maybe 3 or 4 bills that come out automatically. But the other 50% of my bills, 60% of my bills, I pay them. I write the bills for them. I write the check for them. Okay, you can beat me up, right? Talk about me. But listen, I still write checks. They still take checks, right? And then there's a couple of them I actually pay online, but I only pay bills 2 times a month. One of the reasons I don't have all my bills come directly out of my checking account is because I want to be in control. And I can't be in control if all of my bills are coming automatically out of my check when they're due. I control my money. This is really important. I control my money. So I want to tell my bills when I'm going to pay them. And I pay them because I don't mind. It's 10 or 15 minutes of my month or 30 minutes of my month, right? I don't have a problem with it. But I like to pay my own bills. I don't want to leave it up to the water company to take out what they feel like they want to take out because they make mistakes. I'd rather pay it myself. This allows me to pay bills 26 times a year. I'm sorry, I said 26, 24 times a year, 2 times a month, 1st and 15th. If a bill is due on the 17th, I'm going to pay it on the 15th. If it's due on the 12th, I might have to pay it on the 15th. If it's due on the 10th, the 8th, I might have to pay it on the 15th, right? If it's due on the 5th, I might be paying that with the 1st. But I have a system and I have a budget that I check and change every single month. So it's unique to the month, but it's basically got everything separated that fits what's being brought home. That's why your budget has to be unique. This is why I don't like budget templates. I do not like budget templates. I don't like them because you don't need them, right? They're extra added and unnecessary, something that you could pretty much do on your own if you can do a spreadsheet. If you feel comfortable with spreadsheets, you can do it. But if you don't feel comfortable with spreadsheets, do it on a piece of paper. You don't need an app for everything to breathe. Okay. You don't need an app to tell you how far you walk. You don't need an app to tell you how long you've been breathing. You don't need an app to tell you when's the last time you stubbed your toe. I'm not a big app guy. I don't say no apps. I keep some apps, right? But very few apps. I don't need an app to tell me when to pay my bills and how to pay my bills. I've been doing it just perfectly fine for the last 30 years. and I don't need an app to help me with that. That's just me, right? Maybe that's just me being stubborn or what have you. But I'd rather do it on my own because I want that exercise, that brain activity every single twice a month. I want that brain activity of me going and looking at my bills and paying my bills and focusing on what I'm doing, right? Not allowing just to, oh, you just pay it on and stuff. Because what happens when you have your bills come out of your account automatically? It's way too easy to forget. It's way too easy to just not even pay attention. It's way too easy. I don't want it to be that simple. I want to know what I'm paying, and I want to have it be in control of what I'm paying. So I pay my bills twice a month, and I pay them as opposed to having them take them out most of the time. I think cell phones come out one automatically, and maybe a couple other things come out automatically. But for the most part, no, I'm paying them. Guys, hit that like button. Thanks for that question, C-Dub. Appreciate it. I'm glad I could address it. So oh, by the way, hit the like button. Thanks, Vanessa. Appreciate you. Let's see here. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Direct deposit my bills usually early. I write down too. I'm just reading some of your deals. Never too late to invest. You're right, Hebrew. Absolutely. Got Rhonda in the house. Good to have you, Rhonda White. Let's see here. Just seeing if I have questions out here as we move along, guys. And, I just get to rolling. So sometimes I just get on a roll and I don't really get to it. Can I explain covered calls? I'm not a big options guy. Okay. I don't do a lot of trading options. So I don't really do covered calls or puts or anything like that. So, Tierney, I would explain it. Maybe down the road I will. Someone said, excellent, Richard, somebody, excellent mentor, but he waffles. And UK don't support Moo Moo. UK doesn't support. Okay, Yuku. You are 6'9" in UK. Good to have you here. Let's see here. If you get a handyman contractor, you keep him. Yeah, Jimbo Slice, you're right. If you get a good handyman who's working on a piece of rental property for you, always keep him. Let me give you this quick tip. If you guys are okay, I can give you a quick tip real quick. Almost every single time that I have a handyman or have someone do something for me and they are solid and they do a good job, I say always, 90% of the time, I give them a little extra. Okay. So about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had a guy do a mow job for me. He's kind of a new guy that I work with. And by the way, I don't work with a lot of big box stores to do contracting work for me. Never have, never will. I have several videos where I talk about that and show you how not to do that. If you're an investor in real estate, you do not have to use the big old person or the big old contractor with the fleet of trucks and the fleet of nice uniforms and all. Don't use those, right? Because when they charge you for that interior paint job or that exterior paint job, you're paying for overhead, right? So I like over the years, I've dealt with individuals, personal people, handyman, etc. I can have a whole interior house painted for $800 and painted well for $800. But I digress. Every time I have somebody do something for me, I always go the extra mile. I don't care if it's just $10 to go get you a sandwich. If the guy that just did the work for me, the deal for me, he charged me a couple $100, I gave him $215 to say, hey, lunch is on me. You charge me $200, lunch is on me. Guess what that does? You would be shocked at how much that makes that person who did that work for you want to come back and do more work for you because you thought enough about them to go the extra mile and give them a tip, right? So these little things like this, and I help people that want to be landlords understand that if you just do a few little things different, you're going to get better service. You're going to get quicker service. You're going to get people responding to you faster, right? So that's just a quick tip. So real estate was a big part of how I learned financial literacy, understanding, how to actually look at a piece of property and do the numbers of a piece of property was a huge piece of it. As I said before, getting the eBay store, huge piece of understanding margins. So I guess what I'm saying is I raised my financial literacy along the way by doing things that required me to be financially literate, right? In other words, engaging in stuff, not just Go to work, come home, go to work, come home, go to work, come home. No, how about you get out and engage in something that's going to require you to do some more learning, do some more reading, do some more research, right? And then kind of jog you to say, okay, push you and get you out there, right? See, a lot of us want to get better at financial literacy, but we don't want to do the things that require financial literacy. We don't want to do the things that require us to become better and smarter and wiser and more into our finances. We shun our finances. And I'm saying don't shun them, look at them. Focus on them. Pull them out. Pull them from underneath the rug that you swept them under 5 years ago when you went bankrupt and you said, I'm done. I'm not going to think about that stuff. Pull them out from underneath the rug, right? Let's see. Somebody says, thank goodness Smart Money Bro doesn't do moo moo. I don't know. I don't do moo moo. No. Now, I don't do a whole lot of sponsorship, guys. You know that my sponsor, not sponsor, my partner on every video is Mint Mobile. Why? Because I use Mint Mobile on an everyday basis. And I believe that their product is quality. Had no issues out of Mint Mobile. Their customer service is better than AT&T's customer service, right? They are on the money. They don't have a physical store. So my partner is not Moo Moo and Weeble. My partner is Mint Mobile. They help me save money on my wireless. That's why I pass it on to you guys, right? But, I don't have a lot. I get emails for partnerships all the time. I just don't do a lot of it. Let's say I've read Common Sense Investing, Simple Path, Money to Your Money, Your Life, and Start the Intelligent Investor. Didn't like Money Your Life. Intelligent Investor is like a textbook, but other two are great. Good assessment, Aiden. I appreciate it. Let's see here. I miss you've been trucking. Yeah, I've been trucking, man. Les, good to have you here. Thanks for showing up. Jay, no, actually, wife, no, I control the money. She's not really the money person. She's not really into the spreadsheets and stuff. So I control the money, but I did have to get her on board to work the books and do the things that I don't do well. We kind of work together on it. So very good. Doubt my housing association takes a check. I don't know who takes checks. Same here. I pay my bills twice a month. I don't do automatic payments. Did it one time, and oftentimes they don't reimburse you if you made a mistake. If they made a mistake. Exactly. Good point, A. Edwards. So I'm kind of old school like that, right? I know that's right. It's time. It's a question. So if you have a bill that is $100, do you make $250 payments in 1 month? No. If I have that's a good question, C-Dub. Actually, that's a really practical question. If I have a bill that's $100, I pay that bill and I pay it the second half of the month. So if I bring home $3,000 the first part of the month and $3,000 with check number 2 on the 15th, I spread my bills out so they get paid accordingly based on the money I bring home, right? So if it's $100 bill, I either pay it on the 1st or the 15th. I don't split up the payments. No, not at all. That's a good question though, because some people, I'm not showing it on the screen, so that visual might have caught some folks off guard. Yeah, I'm just not an app person, guys. I don't like too many apps or, I don't need to do all that. Life worked really, really well before the invention of apps, right? If you just worked life, life worked very, very well, right? Yeah, I do have insurance. Insurance is automatic for me. That's one thing that comes out automatically. Let's see here. Somebody said, do I hold any Mag 7 stock? I hold Mag 7 stock in ETFs, and I do have a few shares of a few of them. Absolutely. Let's see. Somebody said I have an amazing electrician. He doesn't charge nearly enough. Yeah. You get a good handy person, you got to hold on to him. Absolutely. Right. And I'm answering questions because I want to make sure I hit some of the things you guys say or ask about. Be sure to put a Q next to the question, by the way. Yeah, eBay is excellent because you understand and learn customer service. You understand and learn margins. You understand and learn the importance of buying low, selling high, right? All that is very, very important in eBay. So that's one of the things that I did was I got out and started doing some business, started investing in real estate. I started doing the things that required me to be more financially literate, right? Huge, including the budget, working out a budget that works for you. I also, around the time of 2000, I say 2002 or 3, I really started listening to what's called Crown Ministries. Some of you might remember Crown Ministries. Sitting on here on an old this is an old piece of paperwork I had from years ago. Crown Ministries, right? This was their debt payoff. Before I heard of Dave Ramsey, I was doing a debt payoff with Crown Ministry. I just happened to have this one out, and it had, this is an old one from about 15 years ago for me. It had a hospital bill, had credit card one, credit card two, had cash. It has two cars on it and student loan, $35,000 of student loans. Anyway, the point being is that's an old one for me. But Crown Ministry, I started listening to the radio. Then around 2005 or 6, I heard about this, 2004 maybe. I heard about this guy called Dave Ramsey. Started listening to his radio show because it came on the radio where I am, right? So I started listening to financial people early on in my early 30s when I had no money, when I was just trying to get going, when I was just learning. The other book I read was The Millionaire Next Door, Stop Acting Rich, and he had one more in his series, Dr. Thomas J. Stanley, who wrote The Millionaire Next Door. So I started reading. I started in 2014, 15, started watching financial videos on YouTube. I didn't really watch financial videos on YouTube. In 2012 and 13, I watched, or 2013, I watched how to sell eBay on YouTube. I learned how to sell eBay from watching YouTube. And I sold mostly shoes. Like 95% of everything I sold on eBay was shoes. So this is a big part of how I upped my financial literacy. I got tired of being, financially ignorant. And I started doing these things and doing them, not just talking about them, but doing them. And so I used to watch a lot of financial videos around 2014, 15, 16, right? Lots of financial videos. How to do this, how to do that. You can get in almost anything you want to do financially. You can learn on YouTube nowadays, right? Right. I just got done last night or 2 nights ago watching, was it last night? Watching one of my favorite movies of all time, which was Trading Places, right? I don't know if you guys ever saw that. Trading Places with Eddie Murphy, right? The whole pork bellies fiasco, and there was kind of a racial tension thing to that, as well as a high society thing to that. Great movie. Like that movie quite a bit. But the other thing I started doing, I'm telling you these things to help you, and maybe you can infuse them in your life. But I started tracking my debt and my net worth early on. And when I say early on, I mean early on. I started tracking my debt and my net worth. And my net worth, meaning my assets and my liabilities, and my liabilities was my debt, right? And I put all my debt on a spreadsheet. Now listen, full disclosure, because I like to be transparent. It took me 20 years to pay off debt. I didn't get totally out of debt until just a couple of years ago. Totally out of consumer debt. Last thing that was paid off was our student loans, about 2021 or 2021, something like that. I paid off the last of the student loans. Finally, during the pandemic, when they were saying, don't pay your student loan, I said, forget it. Got 10,000 more, let's pay it off. In the meantime, around 2016, 17, my eBay business got audited. 2018, 2019, got audited by the IRS. Owed $20,000 to the IRS, paid that off too. That became part of the debt and paid it off as well. Why audited? Because I did a horrible job at keeping my records. I had a bad person doing my taxes. It was a local person, did it out of their home, right? Didn't do a very good job, made some mistakes. I threw away all my stuff, didn't have all my stuff to prove, went back and forth with the IRS. They end up charging me $20,000. Paid them off though, right? So, but all of these were learning experiences, right? But I started the debt snowball a long time ago, and I monitored the payoff of it. I didn't pay it off as quick as I like, but I was still monitoring it, and I knew what I had. I was monitoring my behavior with money, monitoring my debt, looking at and monitoring my net worth. I was doing all of this stuff for years and years and years. And all of those things helped me with my financial literacy. It helped me understand my spending pattern, helped me understand my behaviors with money, helped me understand exactly what my expenses were with money when I was doing that budget every single month, when I do the budget every single month. Another thing I did was I opened up a brokerage account outside of my job. Another thing I did was I went to my job and figured out exactly where my money is going, exactly where my money was going in my TSP because I work for the federal government. So you have a 401k that is for people that work for private companies or companies in general. You have a 403b for non nonprofits, schools and things like that. And then you have a TSP, thrift savings plan, for people that work for the federal government here in America. Right. So I started tracking my every move with money, whether it was net worth, whether it was debt, whether it was expenses and income. I started tracking and tracking and tracking. And I was intentional about keeping up with what I was doing with my money. That helped me raise my financial literacy. I became more aware and I learned myself, right? Listening to the Dave Ramseys, the Susie Ormans, the Clark Howards, the Jim Rohns, the Crown Ministries, listening to these radio shows that now we call them podcasts, right? I also began talking more about money to other people, right? Instead of having this closed off conversation when nobody talks about money, no, let's talk about money, right? I didn't want to shy away from it. Let's have the conversations about money and let's just be open about it. All of these things help my financial literacy. Let me go back to the chat, guys. I get on a roll. Let's see. Focus, manage time, learn accounting, read. Namisha summing it up for me. Yes. Walamala said Mint Mobile, no doubt. Let's see here. That wouldn't compute. Roy Harris said something. They should have taught us that in high school. Yeah, they should have taught us that in high school. Question: did you ever feel despair in your financial journey? Walamala, absolutely. I felt despair. Are you kidding me? I just looked at my TSP account. I didn't get over $100,000 in my TSP account after all this focus and having this real estate and all that good stuff. I didn't get over 100,000 in my TSP until probably 2014. I think 2013 or 14. I went over $100,000 in my TSP. By the way, when I was a school teacher, because that guy walked into my room at the age of 24, 25 and taught me about compound interest. When I was a school teacher, I left teaching in 2001 with $10,000 in my retirement account as a school teacher. That every state in America makes you put a certain percentage of your money towards your pension, whatever you want to call it. So I had $10,000. When I worked for the government in 2002, I took that money and I rolled it over, transferred it to the federal government, and it's still been going. I've never, ever, ever borrowed from that money. I just added to it. And so what happened was over the years, it began to compound. But I didn't get it over $100,000 for another 10 years or so until about 2013, 14 or so, a little over 10 years. Right? So I'm 43 years old, a little over $100,000 in my TSP. Of course, it's grown a lot since then. But yeah, I felt a lot of despair with rental properties. I felt a lot of despair over all these things. But I had goals down the road. I had vision. I had belief. I had hope. And I had good, solid, basic foundations being built with my behavior. So all these things, doing the envelope system from the age of 22, I still do an envelope system today as we speak. I still have food money in my envelope, right? I still have car maintenance money in my envelope because I drive older cars, right? So doing the envelope system, getting focused, doing the budget every single month, written down, spreadsheet, piece of paper, doesn't matter, right? Starting a business, right? Buying real estate, understanding these markets of real estate, these markets of buy low, sell how to source objects and items and prepare them to sell and have good customer service, right? Find a good person to do your taxes. I have a wonderful CPA right now who helps me with my taxes because I got rid of the guy that messed me up before. Finding good people to help you along the way to add to your team, like you find good people in real estate to help you do your maintenance and so forth, right? Reading the books, reading the podcast, listening to the radio shows or whatever you want to listen to, putting that stuff in your ear, right? One of the big things I talk about sometimes on this channel, guys, is giving. I started giving back in 2002, right? back in 2002 or 2002 or 3, I think it was, started making sure I give either to my church or to somebody or to both to help other people out along the way. These are good, solid foundation. If you go back and look at the 600 videos I have on YouTube, these are the things I'm talking about to get better with money, up in my financial literacy. But I had to do something along the way. I couldn't just read all the books. I couldn't just, that helps, but I had to actually get out and do some stuff, right? Talk about the money, learn about the economy, understand what's going on in the big picture of the news and things like that. Practice reading finance. Now, when I read a financial report, I can understand what revenues are. I can understand what free cash flow is. I understand what net income is. There's a difference between net income and free cash flow, right? But it's not because I've done anything special or I'm a special person. It's not because I'm different than or way better than anybody else. It's just because I focused on these things and I took the time to do them. Listen, some of you focus on other stuff. Some of you focus on taking good care of your health. Some of you focus on baking. Some of you focus on, you name it, golf. Some of you might focus on whatever it could be. You're better at the things that you focus on, right? Let's see. Somebody, I think I answered that question from you. Let's see. Mint Mobile is good. Yes, it is good. Yes, it doesn't take you 20 minutes to promoting Mint Mobile. Yeah, Sunset. Yeah. I just pop it up there and say, hey, man, check it out. If you want to check it out, it's good for you. Solid. I'm not trying to make a whole bunch of money from affiliate marketing or anything like that. But, I use it. So I like to say something. I also say something about this platform I use called StreamYard. StreamYard is crazy easy. If you ever want to, you might think Zoom is kind of easy, right? But StreamYard is like, wow. And so I do a partner with StreamYard as well. I don't mention StreamYard very often at all, but that's what I'm using to actually stream this on several different platforms here. But StreamYard is like, literally, this is real talk. And I don't do a lot of promoting of StreamYard, but StreamYard is easy enough for, I'm going to say, like a solid 4th or 5th grader could use StreamYard. Real talk. That's how easy it looks on the screen. It looks very, very, very elementary when I use StreamYard. It's very simple. And it's amazing product. So if you ever think about doing a live stream or something, consider StreamYard. So let's see here. Just looking over your chats. Guys, you got to do me this favor and hit that thumbs up button for me. All right. Just tap that thumbs up button for me. I really would appreciate it. I appreciate you being here, Mrs. Moore, and helping me out as always. Let's see here. Just reading through that. Do you use a rental service to rent your properties? That would be a no. Good question, C. White. And I'm answering some questions as we always do, guys, because I always like to make sure I get what this is a community here, and I want to help out as much as I can. And you guys help each other out in the chat, which you always do, and I appreciate that. I don't use a management service. I never have. I suggest to everybody that wants to buy a piece of rental property, always, at least in the first year, manage it yourself. Please consider managing your rental property yourself for at least the first year. Why? Because after the first year of managing your own property, if you want to go get a property manager from there, now you know exactly what to ask that property manager to do, what expectations you have from them. If you jump into this thing and you don't have a property and you have a property manager from day one, you're going to mess up. You may mess up. Property management companies fold all the time, right? The turnover rate for a property management company is huge. And when you get one, that's why when you get one, you got to know what you're looking at to get a good one. But you don't know what you're looking at if you've never owned a piece of rental property and never managed it yourself. So I always suggest you manage it yourself. So no, I do not. But to this day, I still don't use a management property because I only have 2 properties left, right? Millionaire Next Door was a great book. Excellent book. Millionaire Next Door was probably the first book that completely turned my thought process about money around. It completely shaped how I think about money, The Millionaire Next Door. Because I thought millionaires looked like, what was that guy used to come on? The Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, right? Remember that guy? He had that British accent. I forgot what his name was, but he come on talking with that British accent right after Entertainment Tonight went off. And he come on there, then I can't do it. I'm not even going to try to do it. But he had a wonderful British accent. And it's like, wow, that's how the rich and famous live, right? I didn't really, that's what I thought. But then when I read Millionaire Next Door, it changed everything I thought. So a good book will do that for you for sure. Z Owen said, I plan to retire in 3 years. Let's see here. Good luck. Good luck to you. Absolutely. In life, you either win or you learn, no doubt. And Nelson Mandela said, could you expand on the debt snowball? Debt snowball, Ray. The debt snowball is just where you list your debts from smallest to largest, and you can do it highest interest rate to lowest interest rate. But I like to do it smallest to largest. You get a spreadsheet. Write down the debt in the first column. Right. Write down the debt in the first column. Write down total balance you owe in this. I'm looking at one right now. That's why I'm saying it. Write down the total balance you owe in the second column. In the third column, write down your monthly payment. And then you have to figure out what is the cushion of money I'm going to be putting towards these debt every single month. This debt every single month. Maybe it's $300. You start with $300. You take $300 of your money and you start putting it towards that first debt until that first debt is paid off. And then you take the $300 plus whatever you were paying monthly on that first debt. Maybe it's $100. Now you pay $400 on that next debt. And then you pay off that next debt and you take that $300 plus that $100 plus whatever you was paying on that second debt, and you pay all that money off, take all that money and pay it on the third debt, et cetera, et cetera. So by the time you get done, you're putting $1,000 towards something and you're paying it off quick. That's what the debt snowball is. And you map it out, you write it on a spreadsheet or piece of paper, and you follow it to a T, and you be patient and don't beat yourself up if something goes wrong, right? Hope that explained what that was. All right, so long-term student loan is no joke at all. I tried the best I can and paid it off within 2 years post-graduation. Congratulations, Ruby. It was difficult. It was hard for me. Very difficult for me to actually pay off student loan because I was raising a family, had all this other stuff going on, trying to do these side hustles and make more money. Look, I've been where a lot of you guys have been. I really have. Let's see. Am I buying more NVIDIA before the earnings report? Probably so. But we'll see. I got other things on my watch list. By the way, I got a video coming out. If you join us on our other station, if you join us on Patreon, for the paid members of Patreon, I just put out a video 2 days ago that walk you through my watch list, exactly what's on my watch list, right? In terms of stocks, individual stocks. So you might join us over there. There's a link to that in the description box below. Let's see here. Question, would you consider hiring someone to do your thumbnail designs? Actually, I do have somebody that when I don't do them, I have somebody do them for me. I do them about 50% of the time, and I have somebody that does them the other 50% of the time. So good question, Ray. Appreciate it. Let's see. Our parents probably didn't know each other. I don't know. Who are you? They might have known each other. Let's see here. I'm buying Broadcom. Got some Broadcom folks in here couponing. I've never been a big couponer, Vanessa, but it's nothing wrong with it. What is the envelope system? The envelope system is just taking a certain amount of money every time you get paid and putting it to the side in cash that you use for a specific item. So for me, food. I limit myself food money. Now I have a other cushion money called miscellaneous money. But I limit money I spend at the grocery store to the money that's in the food envelope. Now, sometimes I do go over, right? And I will use a debit card or something like that if I go over. But for the most part, I try to stay within the money that I've allotted for myself in the envelope. And you can do that with anything. You can take and put your gas money in an envelope. You can put your food money. You can put the money that you want to put towards your miscellaneous in cash in an envelope. When I say miscellaneous, I mean for the first 2 weeks of the month, or even for the month, you may say, I'm going to spend only about $150 this month on fast food. That's it. You can take and put $150 in an envelope called fast food, and that's all you're going to limit yourself to. It's a practice in discipline. And it's one of the ways that it really helped my financial literacy because it forced me to be more disciplined with money. It forced me to be more succinct and more intentional with spending money. You know, there's studies that show when you spend cash, you spend less. When you swipe a card, you spend more because you feel cash different. I know you've heard that somewhere else, but it's actually true. There's been studies to show that, right? So I like to use the envelope system. Keep in certain areas, it keeps me very, very disciplined with what I'm going to spend. Right. Somebody said, I still do the envelope system too. By the book said, almost a decade now, best ever. And it says, somebody said, don't give yourself a chance to spend it after you get an emergency fund, set your money up automatically to invest. Yep, good point. Salute to the old car drivers. That's right. Nothing wrong with that, right? I'm back. I'm going back a little bit for some of these questions, guys. I want to make sure you put a Q in there. I'm going to see it and I'll address it. Question: do you purchase properties under LLC, S corp, or your name? Namisha, any properties I have, they fall in an LLC. They fall under an LLC, right? You should have an LLC for each property. You should, if you want maximum protection, have an LLC for each rental property you own, right? And so, yes, I keep it in an LLC. Let's see here. Somebody said eBay paid my student loan. Robin Leach. Appreciate that, Lyle. Thanks, John and Regina. Robin Leach. You come in with that strong accent, and they showed a yacht floating by, and it's like, oh, man, like, oh, right. Back in the day, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. I appreciate that. It looks like we got some people in here that are in my generation, right? Sometimes with the younger generation, let's keep it real, right? Great. Love the millennials, right? Sometimes it's hard to really understand them. Like sometimes they talk and it's like, I'm not sure what they're saying and stuff. It's kind of weird, right? As you get old. Let's see. Question. John said, I have a 401k that I'm not yet maxing out. At what point do you suggest I also invest in a Roth? I've heard diversifying with both is best. Both is fine, right? If you think you're going to make less money when you get graduate, when you retire, if you think you're going to have less money and you're going to be in a lower tax bracket, then maybe you want to do a traditional, right? But if you think you may be in a higher tax bracket when you retire, maybe you want to do a Roth where you pay the taxes now and you don't have to pay them later when you're in that higher tax bracket. You got to make that decision what's best for you. You can max out the 401k and max it out in terms of traditional, or you can put it to the limit, whatever they match, and then you can do the rest in your own Roth IRA where you can kind of tell the money and tell the investment what to invest in your own Roth IRA at, say, Vanguard or what have you. I like doing both. I do both, right? Let's see here. Awesome. Thanks. No, boom, boom, boom. Man, we got some folks in here that are super duper smart. I appreciate you guys in here. How many times do you go to grocery shopping a week? Excellent question. I go grocery shopping one time a week. I'm not back and forth. I go to 3 different grocery stores every week, and I do typically most of the grocery shopping, and I do it once a week. I don't run back and forth. I don't do it every 2 weeks because, I just like to do it once a week. So that's a great question. But yeah, I appreciate that. So another one of the things I want to talk about in terms of what I did to raise my financial literacy is not only all the things we did, and if you didn't catch some of it, you want to rewind this, but I began teaching other people about money. One thing I learned about as a school teacher, and if anybody in here who's ever taught, you know this to be true, you learn as you teach, right? You learn as you teach. You learn about the stuff as you teach the stuff. I don't care if it's math. I don't care if it's geography. I don't care if it's history. I don't care if it's science. You're learning too, right? In order to present the information, you got to be learning as well. So one of the ways that I up my financial literacy is talking to other people about their money. From 2020, actually 2020, 2021 to about 2023, I did one-on-one personal financial mentoring and coaching for free on this YouTube channel. All you had to do was hit me up on my information that was in the description box, and I would give you 15, 20 minutes of free time just to talk about your money. Because as I talked about your money, I'm learning how to handle people with money, how to talk about money, how to get better with money, what I should maybe be doing with money. You're giving me ideas, and I'm saying, oh, okay, nice idea. I never thought about that. The point is that when you teach, you learn. So one of the ways I up my financial literacy is to talk about money with other people, about their personal finances, and sharing with you guys about my personal finances. Now we have communication, we have dialogue, and the dialogue helps me understand and learn my financial literacy at the same time. And also, I joined some financial communities. Listen, on YouTube, I have 150 different I'm subscribed to 150 different channels talking about money. Not all of them talk about money, but a lot of them, right? On Facebook, I'm in 10 different financial groups We're talking about finances all the time. I have a financial group on YouTube called Smart Money Bro, right? But I'm in the forums, right? I'm in the groups and I'm talking to other people about money all the time. I'm engaging with people about finances. If you want to up your financial literacy, not only do you have to read and do a budget and all these things we talk about, but you got to start talking about money. Stop shying away from the conversation about money, right? You need to know what's the difference between earned income and capital gains. What's royalty income, right? What is interest income, profit income? What are the different these 6 or 7, 8 different ways of getting income? What is active income versus passive income? Let's have a conversation and talk it out. What are some income sources that maybe could pay you more money, right? The thing you got to do when you are learning about financial literacy is you have to engage in the conversation, right? Engage in the conversation. Yeah, you got to have an emergency fund. Yeah, you got to budget your money. Yeah, you can start a business. You can invest in a business. You can buy a business, but you can learn business. You can learn the financial sheets and all that good stuff. You got to do all that, right? And you also have to believe and you have to get focused on learning about this stuff. It has to be intentional. See, a lot of times with people, here's where they make a mistake. They make learning about money a sidebar. Just so happen. Well, he started talking about boom. Instead of making learning about money a sidebar, make learning about money the focus. Just like you made learning that new job for 8 hours a day for 3 weeks straight that you was in training, or for 2 months straight that you was in training, how you focused on that for 8 hours a day and it became the main thing. Make money and learning about money and reading about money, make it the main focus. And if you make it the main focus and focus on it, then you're going to raise your financial literacy. It's going to happen, right? Let's see here, guys. Let me jump back to the chat here. Hey, $5 super chat, Tony P. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Tony P. Would you sell half of your stocks to buy a multi-generational home for your parents? They both get retirement checks, but going to cost to secure the loan. Tony, great question. And thank you for the super chat. There's a lot of variables in place here, Tony, in terms of how much money do you guys get every single month? Are you buying this home alone? Or are you buying the home with other people? Are you going in on the investment called the home for your parents? And then at the same time, how much money do you have, right? Tony, are you sitting on, and you sitting on a $500,000 worth of retirement money? You're 35 or 40 years old. You're well on your way to being well over a multi-millionaire with no problem in the next 15, 20 years. You have a large emergency fund. You have very little or no debt at all. And you have some extra money and you really want to you got $300,000 in your stock portfolio, but you want to take $150,000 to help buy your parents a home, and you're 30 years old. All these things make a difference. Okay. So if you're at a point where you just have this money, cool, and you can afford because you have some time and all that, great. Maybe, depends on some other things, but maybe you're not in the position to do it, right? Maybe you have $200,000 in maybe you're 50 years old, your parents are 75, 80 years old, and you have $100,000 for your retirement, and you still have a bunch of debt, and you're thinking about taking this half of the $100,000 to go. You may not be in a position to do that. You got to be real logical and real honest with yourself, because some of us, and I'm the same way, we want to do something really, really nice and special for our parents, but at the same time, it's not really practical from a financial standpoint to do that nice deed. Perhaps there's something else you can do for your parents in terms of, and I don't believe in what do you call it? Co-signing. I don't believe in co-signing, right? Not a co-signer, but I'll help you, right? So I don't know if I'd do that, Tony. I would think very long and hard about that. And I would also make sure that it's a logical move in terms of money. And it's not just some emotional thing that you want to do. In other words, whenever you're dealing with money, leave the emotion out. You make bad money decisions when you just are so happy, angry, sad, um, so wanting to help somebody so bad that you mess up your own personal financial situation, giving away. And there's nothing wrong with giving, right? I'm all about giving, but you got to do it on a practical level to make sure you don't damage your financial situation along the way, right? So remove the emotion, look at where you are financially, look at where they are, look at any outside additional help, and then make that decision. Hope that helped out there. And appreciate the super chat again. Appreciate it so much. Let's see here. I saw one that I want to look at. Rhonda, let's see. I'm on a $60 5-day-a-week budget right now, but it's hard being out on the road trying to eat off $60. I understand that, right? Panama Jack. Let's see here. What are the best HYSAs to start with? I heard good things about SoFi. Guys, do me a favor and help out Vanessa. She asked this question about 9 minutes ago. Drop your HYSA that you use in the chat for Vanessa, please. Right? Please drop that in there for Vanessa. Right? And let's see if we can't get a bunch of answers for you to look at, Vanessa, and maybe that'll help you out as well. Right? I heard very good things about SoFi. No issue with SoFi. Always remember, though, with an HYSA, it's a variable interest rate. It might be 4.5% today. It might be 2.5% tomorrow. Right? Understand it changes. Right? And as the Fed cuts the interest rate, it may have an effect on lowering the yields that high yield savings accounts give. All right. Let's see here. Appreciate that question. Did you deal with friends getting cold on you when you started focusing on getting your money away? Yes, I did a little bit, absolutely. But I don't have a lot of friends. I mean, I know a lot of people, right? I have a lot of associates, right? But I don't have like 20 good friends, right? But yeah, I did have some people that, family, friends, all these people, you got to be careful about that. That'll happen. When you start winning with money, they're going to question you. Who do you think you are? All that. It happens, right, Ray? You just got to be strong enough to withstand it. Yeah, Lyle, you learn as you teach. Absolutely, right? I that was a revelation to me. Question, do you still eat out after your weekly grocery shopping? Yes, I do. Had some kava yesterday, right? I do. I have a little extra, right? But I'm at the point now where I can have a big cushion of extra because I did all that sacrificing earlier as I was raising my financial literacy along the way. I did a lot of sacrificing, and now I'm at the point where I have a lot. Now I didn't finish the story, right? But now, guys, I went from a $30,000 net worth at the age of negative 30,000 at the age of 30. Now I have a 7-figure net worth, right? And I have I have 2 videos on this channel. If you search in the archives, I have 2 public videos on this channel that walk you through. Well, I think I have at least one now on this public channel that walk you through where my budget was I have a 3-year-old video that showed you where I was, not budget, showed you where my net worth was 3 years ago. I have another video from last year that's over on my Patreon. If you join the Patreon as a paid member, you can scroll through and see the video that I did about a year ago to show you line item by line item exactly what my net worth was. But I'm at a point now where the net worth and everything I have and my cushion is so big that I can still do I can take a nice cushion and have that as what I use to eat out at different places every month or so, right? So good question. Thanks, Shonda. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Always keeping it real. Yep. Let's see. Facts. I do well managing $60. Panama Jack, $60 a week to eat. That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid right there. That's very, very intentional. So I appreciate you saying that in the chat. Let me see here if I missed anything. Put a Q by it, guys. What we're talking about is financial education, financial literacy. And I gave you a bunch of things to raise my financial literacy, right? To raise and again, I don't know it all, man. I really don't. I don't know it all. I made a lot of mistakes. But the kicker is this. You can make a lot of mistakes with money. Just don't repeat those mistakes and make sure you do a few things very well. One of the things I did very well to help raise my financial literacy is I believed in myself. I learned to be focused, and I learned that if I focus, I can achieve anything. If I focus, literally anything in my mind. I was the guy in the 90s that said I could beat Michael Jordan playing basketball, right? I was just like overly confident in my ability to believe in myself. But listen, sometimes it's crazy. I may think crazy things, but I just have this undeniable belief, this God-given, I think it's God-given belief that I can achieve anything. And so, and it started really when I was in elementary school, right? Because they would say, well, he's a very bright student, but he just doesn't apply himself, right? Those are like teacher terms for he's lazy, right? Or he don't put in the work. But back in elementary school, I always got that. So even when I graduated with that low GPA from high school, and I had that low GPA in college my first year, I knew in the back of my mind that I could turn it on. And when I turned it on, it's been crazy. So I turned it on with, career, it got good. I turned it on with money at the age of 30, it got good ultimately. But I just believed it. So, and I don't know where it came, but it's just deep, 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 deep belief. But also the budgeting, right? The envelope system, right? All these things that I did early on that helped me raise my financial literacy, the learning, the podcast or the radio shows, the reading, the tons and tons of reading, the getting the book. Listen, to this very day, my favorite store in the world is Barnes and Nobles. I can sit there and be there for hours and hours and hours with books, right? I just like a lot of books. But the podcast, all these types of things, the actual doing the works, buying the real estate, starting the eBay business, having the extra side gigs and side hustles, all these things help me raise my financial literacy, right? Let me see if we got any more questions in here. Lending Bank Club. Not sure what that is. Oh, you guys are naming the different places. Somebody says, where did I find your inventory? Good question, C-Dub. I found inventory when I used to sell on eBay. I found the inventory from estate sales, Goodwills, thrift stores, estate sales, garage sales. That was my three or four places of sources where I got my stuff from that I would sell. Let's see. Some of you guys are naming some Marcus account from Saks, American Express, Ally or Ally Bank. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but Lending Bank Club is what Mrs. Moore said. Okay, so we got some folks in here. The Synchrony Bank. Good. Any other suggestions for side hustles? Yeah, I do a bunch of them, man. Voiceovers, eBay, you name it. Let me see here. Pine Hill said, remember in life, you should always have a starting 5 or a top 3 friends in your life. And after that, close associates. Great point, Lau. I appreciate you saying that. You're right. Yeah. I don't keep a big circle of close friends, right? Only a tight circle of people that I associate with. Even like Lyle here in the chat. Lyle is a close guy that I associate with. I can call Lyle for anything I need, especially in terms of genealogy, right? So, but that's a closer associate, right? I keep a lot of close associates, people that are not a lot, but I keep a few that I kind of understand and know, and we have these common things in common. But let's see here. I wish there was a kava close to me. A kava close to you. Yeah. Solid. I like eating there. 6'9", okay. Learned I can savor 2 cans and 9% beer all day long. Let's see here. Yes, please like and subscribe and share, guys. Dave Ramsey says a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Absolutely, by the book. Absolutely, I agree. So, guys, that's my video today. I hope that I was able to give you guys something to think about on this video. A little longer than I wanted to go, but hey, I get to talking. I get to having fun. You guys give me energy, right? People kind of give me energy when we have these types of conversations. But this is why I got tired of being financially ignorant. I was just tired of being financially ignorant, and I wanted to have what that guy showed me with those compound interest tables back when I was 24, 25. So I said, how do I get that? I'm 29, I'm 30 years old, real estate. I'm going to buy some real estate. And then I'm going to start investing at my job and investing money in the stock market to get this compound interest. And guess what? It works. It really worked. But this is all the things I use to raise my financial literacy, guys. And I hope I was able to give you something of value. If you got something of value, hit the like button for me. If you're watching this on replay, tap that like button for me. I appreciate you guys. 6'9", Max 6, Vanessa, Mrs. Moore. Thank you for hanging out with Mrs. Moore. Renita Sanders, I appreciate you. Zach, Mark, John, Lyle, C-Dub, Mathis, the Walla Mala, AJ, Rhonda White, Tenderoni, Grayman. Appreciate you, Grayman. David Topics, all you all. I appreciate you more than you know. Got a question? Ask me in the comments section of this. I'll answer it more than likely. Hey, listen, and also check out what's in the description box below, from Mint Mobile to a free 24 Laws of Money and all that free stuff down there. Check that out as well. Visit me on smartmoneybro.com, and also feel free to reach out to me. Go over to Patreon. We dig a little deeper over there. Hey, as I always say, guys, the best person who's going to take care of the old you is the young you. I'm going to check you on a live tomorrow. Take good care of yourself and take care of other people. Until the next video, peace.